I can't do it. We'll do it live. Okay. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Mister, will you please wake up?
Wentz under center. Hands off to Taylor. Taylor, big run. He's at the 45, 50, 40, 30, 25, 20, 15, 10. Touchdown! Jonathan Taylor, 67 yards to the house. J.T. Painter. And that's the rushing record breaker.
This is Snowman in the morning.
Oh, yeah!
Cousins on third down out of the shotgun, takes the snap, four-man rush. Kirk pats it, fake, JJ, end zone, caught, touchdown! Justin Jefferson, back left of the end zone, it's a 12-yard touchdown. Season 4, JJ, and for Kirk, he's thrown 28, and the Minnesota Vikings have taken a 6-0 lead.
From the gun, quick lob over the top. Edwards reaches up and grabs it. Touchdown! Jackpot, baby!
Curry gets Thompson. It's like the NBA Finals from years ago. Pass goes over to Iguodala. Corner three is up and good. Not all the way in the corner, but toward the corner. Iguodala's in double figures. It's 97-89.
Shotgun, he's got it on fourth down. He's looking, he's flushed. He's still looking, he's flushed left. He's running and throwing. Touchdown! It's caught! There's another flag down. Harrison Bryant caught it in the end zone with a flag down.
Dead on. Yes, the Raiders sideline explodes.
I give a jackpot, partner.
Jackpot,
there you
baby.
go.
4:37 to go. Draymond's up to down to Iguodala. Back to the basket. Finds Curry. Circles to the right. Three ball. Good. And the Warriors are breaking it open. A 10-0 run. Doug Christie wants another timeout.
It's the Taco Tuesday edition of Snowman in the Morning. Thank you all for joining us. Cole Johnson will join me in just a few moments. And I would say that I feel sorry for the Cleveland Browns for choking an opportunity to, wrestle away first place in the division when everyone was telling me at the start of the season that they have improved. I just don't see it. And they had to start Nick Mullins. Making my adjustments here, so stand by with me. And they started Nick Mullins because Baker Mayfield down with an injury. I just don't see the improvement. I can't see the improvement. Now they're in a dogfight for their division. That was one game last night. The other one was an expected outcome. The Bears are a mess. I thought the Carolina Panthers were a mess. The Bears are worse. They're a poorly run organization. They got the wrong people in charge. There's talent up and down the roster. There really is. There's talent up and down the roster. And yet the absolute wrong people are in charge. And I just can't see a way for the Bears to get out of their own way because they haven't gotten out of their own way since 2010. What do I mean by that? I'll get to that in just a moment. Waiting for Cole Johnson to ring in, but let's start with the Cleveland Browns. You want to talk about a team that had a little bit of success last year, and now they can't get out of their own way yet again. Baker Mayfield has regressed. I know people are going to not like me for saying that, but I don't care. Baker Mayfield has regressed. The Browns are building a pretty good team that can run the football. Problem is, they don't do it enough. Sound familiar? Sound familiar, everybody? Like a lot of teams, the Packers, the Buccaneers, they are built to run the football, but they don't. And that's problematic. Nick Chubb held in check. The Raiders defense came to play. Okay? The Raiders defense came to play. And the most wonderful thing is, as you heard in the opening, Brent Musburger called the winning field goal Shane Lake, the super producer, has joined. Stephen Askins. John has a great question, and I want y'all to get interactive with me while my partner gets situated to call in. Why does this feel like typical Browns like it was in 2019? Because it is. That's a great question, John. The simplest answer I can give you is because it is. It's typical Browns. They smell a little bit of success, and then they pull the rug out from under themselves. And you're seeing it again. They got to the playoffs last year. They beat the hell out of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then this season happens. You don't know what you're going to get or what kind of game you're going to get from Baker Mayfield. Lord knows I've explained that quite a few times. But for those of you who missed it, I'll explain it again. You don't know what you're going to get from Baker Mayfield. He's I don't want to say typical dual threat quarterback, but in many ways he is. He's a typical dual threat quarterback that can't make good decisions under pressure. And he's made horrible decisions under pressure this year that has cost his team games. Now, do I put it all on Baker Mayfield? No. Shane Lake, why does it feel like the Browns are still going to make the playoffs even with Baker being 50-50 the rest of the season? They got enough talent. They got enough talent to make the playoffs. The question is, how far will they go within the playoffs? That's the question. How far will they go? John Mysack. I hope I'm saying that right, John. It's even more surprising that Mullins did a decent job with no chemistry with anyone. But if they won, it would be more of the typical Raiders the last 18 years. That's why that game was so unfamiliar to me. If the Raiders won, which they did at the gun, 16-14, you see the title across your screen for the folks you that are watching on our video feed. Brown's gonna Brown. If it had been the Raiders, it would have been same old Raiders. One of these teams had to break through that wall. They had to break through that wall. And you wonder how much momentum the Raiders are going to take into next week. And part of this is the game being pushed from Sunday to Monday. Now, we got two games to discuss later that are playing today that we're going to discuss. But do y'all think that pushing the game to Monday had something to do with it, especially with a 5 o'clock start? I feel like this. And I know it's a get off my lawn kind of take. And as I've said many times, I'm old and I'm old school. But you play the game that's on your schedule on the date that it's scheduled. If it gets changed, it gets changed. And you play the team that's in front of you. You did all your preparation, and it's time to find a way to win. It's time to find a way to win. And that's true for both of these teams. The Raiders are still alive in the playoffs. So are the Browns. But at 7-7, it's going to be tough sledding for both teams to get in the playoffs. And frankly, I hope neither one of them make it. Now, why am I sounding like that? Because in my eyes only, probably, neither one of these teams have put together a good run. Neither one of these teams have put together a good season to warrant a playoff berth. You saw it last night. You saw what you needed to see last night from both of these teams. It kind of reminds me of the Rams and the Cardinals from last Monday. It reminds me of the Rams and the Cardinals from last Monday when I said a week ago today on this show that I wasn't impressed with either one of those teams. This applies. I'm not impressed with either one of these teams. Most of the AFC doesn't deserve that 7th seed. You're right about that. Because whoever gets that 7th seed in the AFC is going to get blown to smithereens. Shane, once again, on the road in the Tundra, on the road in Pitt, and at home for Cincy, Cleveland has a very tough final few. Oh, yeah. It's like you're playing the remainder of this schedule to get obliterated in the first round. And I wouldn't be surprised, Shane, if it came down to conference record. Because if it comes down to conference record, then it's a free-for-all. I'm busy sending the YouTube feed to a lot of people, so don't mind me looking down. I'm looking down at my phone. Browns need everything to be perfect to make it in, and they can't do that if certain players are out. That's the truth. Hell, in some cases, John, they can't do that if certain players are in. And I'm looking directly at Baker Mayfield and saying that. I thought Baker Mayfield was supposed to be this all-world quarterback out of Oklahoma that would absolutely blow the league away. Well, I haven't seen it. Have y'all seen it? Because I certainly haven't. I have not seen it. They don't use their running backs. Their defense is getting gashed. And it was gashed on that game-winning drive last night. Only difference was it was through the air and not on the ground. The Raiders made mincemeat out of that defense in the final 60 seconds. The Raiders made mincemeat out of that defense in the final 60 seconds, and it ended with a walk-off field goal. And as Brent Musburger said best on that call that you heard in the opening, jackpot, baby. John says Mayfield was going to disappoint going in. Yeah. I never believed in Baker Mayfield. I know that's horrible of me to say to a lot of people, but what the hell else am I to do? I don't believe in Baker Mayfield, period. Just like I don't believe in that Browns offense that was so busy putting up points last year, they forgot to carry a few of them with them into this year. They kind of forgot what it was like to be offensive-minded. And you see the inconsistency. And that's a word I've used on a lot of teams this year. Inconsistency. They've been so wildly inconsistent, it's not even funny. Sorry about that. It's like for both of these teams, and I'll use John's comment to highlight both of these teams. September and October, they're solid. Both of these teams are solid. But when the pressure comes on in November and December, they wilt. I haven't seen a strong Raiders team since the ones that were coached by Tom Flores that won him 2 Super Bowls, 15 and 18. I have not seen a strong Raiders team since then. Even the ones coached by Art Shell in the late 80s and early 90s. Lack of faith in Baker Mayfield in Cleveland is like the lack of faith in LBJ in, well, the NBA. Yeah. We wait till we are proven right. You're doggone tooting about that. You are right about that. Because I haven't seen anything to tell me that Baker Mayfield's going to be a great quarterback in this league. I really haven't. And to be perfectly honest, I don't think I'm going to. Now, is he... yeah, John, I made an Art Shell reference. Now, is he going to flame out like Johnny Manziel? No. But what's it going to take for Baker Mayfield to succeed in the NFL? That should be my question of the day. That should be my question of the day. What will it take for Baker Mayfield to succeed in the NFL? Will it take another change of coaches? Will it take another change of offensive philosophy? Or will it take a change of scenery? No one wants to talk about that. Of course, everybody wants to talk about it when it comes to, Jimmy Garoppolo or Mitch Trubisky. And I got something for Garoppolo later on in the program. Everybody wants to talk about Jimmy Garoppolo needing a change of scenery. How about we talk about the fact that Baker Mayfield may need a change of scenery and a change of philosophy? Baker needs someone he can learn under. Thank you, Shane, for that. Baker needs someone he can learn under. And John says the Raiders may blow it up because they may trade off Carr because he's not getting them anywhere, and he's been there since 2019. Agreed. Question is, what do you do with David Carr? What do you do? How do you set this up? How do you do this so everybody wins in a trade? Because we've seen trades where both teams lost. We've seen trades featuring both of these teams where both teams lost. The Raiders got a big, big win. No question about it. Is it going to help them in their pursuit of the AFC West? Nope, because it's a two-team race, Chiefs and Chargers. And the Chiefs may have locked that up, being the only team in the AFC, let alone the AFC West, with 10 wins. Only team in the AFC with 10 wins. How about that? So now, after all of that, you just get a couple of teams that are 7-7 that still have no direction as far as I'm concerned. And still, here's something, you guys. They don't play, neither of these teams, except for the ending drive last night. Neither teams play with a sense of urgency. Neither teams play with a sense of urgency. So will it take that? Will it take playing with a good sense of urgency for Baker Mayfield or Derek Carr to get it right? What do you guys think? Stay interactive with us and stay with us. John says, my Broncos are a directionless team at 7-7, and I'm fine with a collapse to make changes. Yeah. Sometimes that's what it takes. Hell, that's what it took in San Francisco. Let's be real. That's exactly what it took in San Francisco. Visit our friends at Jaguar South Shore. Give them a call at 219-245-2500. That's 219-245-2500. We're headed to a break, but when we come back, the Bears are down and for all intents and purposes, out. This is Snowman in the Morning coming to you live on YouTube and Facebook and 24 hours a day at snowmaninthemorning.com.
Grandbabies every Sunday and smothering them with big hugs and kisses.
I want to get back to football games with my boys.
I want to get back to feeling and touching, connecting with the people around me.
I want to get back to family dinners and my grandma's mac and cheese.
I want to get back to real grocery shopping, taking my time, walking down every aisle, smelling the tomatoes and melons, having a free sample or two, or 3.
COVID-19 has changed how we live and how we feel. But now, there are vaccines. And they are the first step that let us get back to feeling optimistic about the days ahead of us. It's okay to have questions.
Is it safe?
Should I get it?
Should I wait?
Now, get the facts. Learn more at getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision when vaccines are available to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
No matter what time of the year it is, there's always a time to get your vehicle cleaned and detailed and looking great. And the folks at Official Car Cleaning and Detailing can do the job for you. My buddy Isaac Moore will get you hooked up with the best of the best to keep your car looking sharp, looking beautiful, and looking ready for business. Give them a call today at 219-561-6645. That's 219-561-6645.
Man, do I love card night. You ready, boys? You got a king?
Go, Fish Dad!
Oh, come on. This is WWE superstar Titus O'Neil. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today. Learn more at 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them? By their clothes, their age, the way they speak? Would you notice an 8-year-old girl who's not excited for summer break
because she may not be having lunch again until September?
Or a single father of 2 who works 3
part-time jobs and still can't put enough food on the table?
Or maybe a mother who cleans offices at night,
hoping to find meeting leftovers to take home to her hungry family.
Or a war veteran who's having a hard time
landing a job and getting back on his feet.
I am the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger. People you pass by every day but never knew were hungry. I am hunger in America.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America, 200 Food Banks Strong, and the Ad Council.
Williams Hardwood Specialist offers all types of flooring. We specialize in sports floor resurfacing and installation. We also offer concrete resurfacing and epoxy overlays. Whether it's a small home with 2 bedrooms or the home the size of Michigan City's gym, Williams Hardwood Specialist is the way to go. If you need some hardwood flooring done or redone, give Williams Hardwood Specialist a call at 219-221-1093. That's 219-221-1093.
Mister, how do you operate this Twitter thing or this Instagram thing or whatever the heck? You're supposed to know all this stuff. Anyway, welcome back to the show.
Welcome back. Snowman in the Morning continues this Taco Tuesday edition. And poor Bears. Poor Chicago Bears. Bear down. How about bear out? They lost last night 17-9. And for all intents and purposes, their season is over. They had high hopes coming into the season. They draft a lineman, but he can't stay healthy. They trade up in the draft to draft Justin Fields, but they're ruining him. Text the show at any time, 919-912-2256. John sent me a question, and Cole Johnson finally joins me. You're late. Go stand in a corner.
Oh, you mean like what we want to do Matt Nagy to do?
Yes. That franchise is finito. Okay, they need to blow it up. Actually, yeah, they need to blow it up because the wrong people, I've said this about a few teams, but it's especially true about the Bears. The wrong people are in charge. Fans at Soldier Field were chanting "Fire Nagy" last night.
All right. Correct me if I'm wrong. You would know this a lot better than I because you are a Chicago native.
Mm-hmm.
However, just judging from what I have seen, has this been the case since 92?
Basically,
probably the last year, which basically was the last year of Mike Ditka's tenure as head coach.
Yep.
I think I have not seen this franchise get a good footing about itself since then. And yes, this is including the fact that, yes, they went to the NFC Championship game in 2010. But even that was marred with a lot of indecision and backbiting and second guessing.
I've always said this about that team, about the 2010 team. Yes, they went to the Super Bowl under Lovie Smith in 2006, but then they got waxed by Indianapolis.
Yeah, and then the Super Bowl year. Yeah.
I've always said this about you can define this iteration of the Chicago Bears since 1992 with this statement. They had the NFC Championship in their house.
Mm-hmm.
They had the NFC Championship in their house in 2010.
Yes, they did.
And Aaron Rodgers marched the Packers right down the field on the opening drive in the game.
Oof.
In 7 quick plays. They used the no-huddle offense. They marched right down the field, and the Bears have not recovered. Period.
That game that you just mentioned, that game basically is a microcosm of how it is to be a Bears fan, because they have this excitement. It's like opening game or opening day. They have this excitement. This is our year. You know, we're gonna stick it to the Packers and the Vikings and the Lions and every other team in the NFL, but mostly the Packers and the Lions and the Vikings. And they have an early setback, and I mean early is probably the first or second game, and it's just this pause and this lull that just happens where it just seems to affect the rest of the year for them.
What did Bernie Mac say? Anytime you get hit and you pause. That's the Chicago Bears.
Yes,
they got hit. They've been hit every year,
and they pause.
And they pause
after they get hit.
And they pause.
Yeah.
John Mysak said, "Solid group of talent on the offense, but it's always been ran by a head coach that ruins it." Ain't that the truth?
Ooh.
See, Mike Ditka, as you often say, my friend, read the room.
Yeah.
He read the room. He let the coordinators coordinate.
Yeah.
He let the OC call the plays. All he did was motivate his team to get ready. Stephen Askins is with us, and he says, quit that. He says it's been hell being a Washington Redskins fan, but I know it's even more hell being a Bears fan. Ain't that the truth?
I bet it is. I mean, and you mentioned the 2006 year. So let's go back.
My radio buddy Chris Bass is joining us. He's joined via Facebook. Go ahead, Cole.
Yeah. That 2006 year, let's look at it a little bit. So they had the number 1 seed in the NFC, and they, of course, ran through their competition to the Super Bowl, and then they just ran flat in Miami. Throughout the year, the biggest question was, is Rex Grossman a talented quarterback or not? Throughout the whole year. It was to the point where you almost forgot this team actually secured the number 1 seed in the NFC.
Yep.
And that's what I'm talking about right there. Even in the best year since 1990, I said 1992, but I could go back to 1985. The best year they had since 1985, and you can't even say, wow, they actually put a good season together. And you forget that team had a really good defense. You forget that. You forget that.
Not
you
to
forget
mention
that. You forget it was led by Lance Briggs and Brian Urlacher. You forget that. Because it was all about, well, Rex Grossman, is he talented enough? And that also plays into the narrative that has infiltrated the Bears for longer than we've been alive. Which is, will they ever get a franchise quarterback?
That's sad. That's absolutely sad that it's been that way. It's sad that it's been that way.
Yeah. I mean, we're almost 50 years old. And we would have to struggle to think of a quarterback that was considered franchise. Now we could call out some successful quarterbacks as Bears.
Yeah,
we both could easily do that. But in terms of the pantheon of greatness, like a Montana, I'll even say Brady, like a Brady, or even like a Rodgers, or an Elway, or a Favre. The Bears can't say that from 1972 to now. They can't say that.
I mean, who are you going to put on that list? Bob Avellini?
Right.
Who the hell are you going to put on that list? Vince Evans?
Vince Evans?
Who are you going to put on that list? Steve Fuller, who started an NFC Championship game in '84 when the Bears got shut out by my 49ers, 23-0? What?
I mean, the most successful quarterback in our lifetime that has been a Bear is Jim McMahon.
Jim McMahon. That's the only one you can put on that list.
Yeah.
You can compare that list to the list of quarterbacks the Browns brought in since 1999.
And that is what I find troubling.
Very
you can say the
troubling.
same thing about the Bears as you can about the Browns. It's like
It's
a
so
proud organization, but they struggled to have a franchise quarterback there.
Mhm.
And as a fan, you're like, well, I don't know why they have this issue, but you pointed it out. The organizations ran faulty.
You said it best the first time. The organizations ran foul.
Yeah.
It's run. It has run afoul. We'll do more on this toward the end of the program. I got a guest coming up here in a moment. Join Snowman in the morning on Patreon. Go to patreon.com/SIT morning. An old radio friend of mine will join us next.
I want to get back to seeing my grandbabies every Sunday and smothering them with big hugs and kisses.
I want to get back to football games with my boys.
I want to get back to feeling and touching, connecting with the people around me.
I want to get back to family dinners and my grandma's mac and cheese.
I want to get back to real grocery shopping. Taking my time, walking down every aisle, smelling the tomatoes and melons, having a free sample or two, or three.
COVID-19 has changed how we live and how we feel. But now, there are vaccines. And they are the first step that let us get back to feeling optimistic about the days ahead of us. It's okay to have questions.
Is it safe?
Should I get it?
Should I wait?
Now, get the facts. Learn more at getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision when vaccines are available to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. As a volunteer, you deliver a hot, nutritious meal and a friendly hello to someone just like your mother, grandfather, or next door neighbor. These seniors are inspiring people with incredible stories to share, and they love to see you. The smiles you get back are priceless. Delivering with Meals on Wheels is easy, and you don't have to drive like me for it to be quick. You can volunteer your lunch break once a week or just once a month. With 1 in 6 seniors facing hunger and many more living in isolation, your lunch break can make a real difference. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them? By their clothes, their age, the way they speak? Would you notice an 8-year-old girl who's not excited for
summer break because she may not be having lunch again until September?
Or a single father of 2 who works 3
part-time jobs and still can't put enough food on the table?
Or maybe a mother who cleans offices at night,
hoping to find meeting leftovers to take home to her hungry family.
Or a war veteran who's having a hard time
landing a job and getting back on his feet.
I am the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger. People you pass by every day but never knew were hungry. I am hunger in America.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America, 200 Food Banks Strong, and the Ad Council.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling on it.
The dad joke. Corny, groan-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
What did the buffalo say when he dropped his son off at school? Bye, son.
So take a moment to make your kid laugh, because dad jokes rule. Make your kid laugh today. Go to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
This is Snowman in the morning.
Let's do more on the Bears. Waiting for Tommy Williams. My guest had actually called in. He called in early, and I'm trying to get him to call back now. So we'll see what we can do to get him on. Let's stay with the Bears. Man, where we left off, the only quarterback you can put on a list of Bear quarterbacks that was actually competitive and actually did something with that team is Jim McMahon. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the only one. That's the only one. And don't give me Jay Cutler. No, don't give me him.
That's 8 years of mediocrity as far as I see.
Yes.
I liken Jay Cutler and You're going to get such a kick out of this. I liken Jay Cutler to, I don't know, Tony Romo.
That's a fair comparison. Yeah.
Put up the stats, great, but nothing. Here he is, but nothing else beyond that. Nothing else beyond that. I welcome a very good buddy of mine who has been a friend of mine for many, many years, and he is the public address voice of the Gary South Shore Railcats. This is the superstar Tommy Williams, and he joins me right now. Good morning, sir.
Did you say superstar?
I sure did.
You're misleading your listeners right off the bat, but that's okay. I'll take it.
I am
not. Just started the interview and you're misleading the people.
How can I mislead the people when A, you're one of my best friends, and B, the fans call you that as well as me? So
well, God bless them. God bless them. Look, I'm fooling a lot of people. I'm misleading them too. So.
This is one of my best friends, not just in broadcasting, but in life. And I had the pleasure one day to sub for you at US Steel Yard, and he gave me such a great compliment in reviving your love for what you do. And what we do, Tommy, we just have fun with it.
Yeah, but we're blessed. I think that's the major thing about when you get a chance to get behind the mic and talk to people and do what you love to do. I mean, Jesus has been extremely good to me. He's been good to you. And we've been there, never, ever forget that.
Yeah.
That we've been blessed to do this. We're not doing stuff that's going to keep us tied up for 8 hours and we're going to be totally tired at the end of the day.
Right.
I mean, we basically got the best shot, the best job here.
Yeah.
And what can I tell you? Yeah.
Johnny Kerr, the late Johnny Kerr, said something that reminds us of what we do, and my buddy Chris Bass, who's tuning in as well. Johnny Kerr said, quote, "I got the greatest job in the world. I get to watch Michael Jordan 82 times a year, and they pay me to talk about it."
And then he gets to watch him in the playoffs. So it's more than 82
It's more than 82 games. Yes.
Yeah. And then you get to see him lift the trophy for the team that you used to coach.
Yep.
So that's awesome.
That's a blessing right there. And you've seen championship years with the Railcats, as have I. How much fun is that? We both have seen it.
I think I've told you this story before, but I remember back when I played high school football, and I don't know if I could use this word on the air, but I'm going to take a chance and say it. I sucked. And I wasn't good at it. And, happily I was surrounded by a bunch of pretty darn good football guys who helped us win a conference championship. But I always wanted to win a league title.
Yes.
And I thought when I got out of high school and my career was over, quote unquote, I thought that's it. It's not going to happen. Sure enough, I wound up with the Railcats, and you get 3 of them. And I remember the day that they told me, "Tommy, you're going to get a ring." Roger Wexelberg was the GM at that time and one of my all-time favorite people. And he called me into his office, and I'm wondering, am I in trouble? Yeah, when the boss calls you for no reason, and you're thinking, "Oh God,"
Right.
He hands me this silver thing with a bunch of little circles on it, and I'm like, "What is this?" And he said, "We're measuring your ring finger," and I'm like, "Oh my God!" So I told my mom, God bless her, I miss her so much, but I told my mom, when I get the ring, I'm going to give it to you because I'm not a ring guy. I mean, yes, you want to win one, but I'm not going to go around like Sammy Davis Jr., flashing them. Flashing the silver and everything.
Right.
And when I saw that ring, when I put it on my finger, I had to go back and talk to my mom and say, "Can I hold back on that promise for a few?" Because that sucker was, oh my God. And you get 2 more. And it's like, yeah, the Rail Cats have been the Rail Cats been very, very good to me.
Yes. Tommy Williams joining us here on the program, sharing some announcing/broadcast stories. When I covered Lake Station for a season, 2016, 2017, I did the girls and the boys. I was PA for the girls. I did play-by-play for the boys. I surprised Tommy one game. I had an extra mic with me, and like I said, my favorite announcer of all time is Jim Durham. And I looked at Tommy, and he gave me this look of, "What are you doing?" I said, "Just listen." So we played the national anthem. Teams went to their benches and we're ready. And I spit out, "We're ready with the introductions. Let's go to Tommy Williams." And Tommy starts laughing for a moment, and he leaned over and said, "Thank you, Jim Durham, for that."
And I'm like, what? I'm like, it's my man Will. But that was sweet. That was sweet. And I think you also found out about how really classy the Lake Station people are. The principal up there, who is a wonderful person, and that program has really grown in the past few years. And
yes, they have.
Because of the two coaches over there, the boys and girls coaches have really picked that program up. As a matter of fact, the boys coach is not that far from the 500 mark. He got off to a slow start. And he has since picked it up, and now Lake Station, I believe they're unbeaten. The boys are unbeaten, and the girls have only lost once, but not twice. I'm sorry, but when one of those losses is against Crown Point, you'll get over it.
Yes,
but yeah, for you folks who don't know, Crown Point is a freaking juggernaut.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
But being a part of that organization, it's a high school team, but being a part of that organization is what it has been great. It really has been. But yeah, and by the way, great choice of the Jim Durham thing. Great choice. Next time, don't throw a curve at me when you do it. But yeah,
it just fit. It just fit. Tommy came in and he set up. I was set up. I just run my pregame show, and then I led into that, and I handed him my crowd mic, and he did his introductions, and all I can think of was the old stadium in the early in the early 80s, and Tommy Edwards was the PA announcer, and all that just fit. All that just fit.
Oh, so does that make me Little Tommy? Is that what you're saying? Man, I'm 250. I'm 6'2", 250 pounds. The last time somebody called me little was when I came out of the womb.
That's about the last time when someone called me little, so I get it. That's about the last time when someone called me little. Trust me, I get it. One of the last games I had a chance to cover at the Steel Yard, we took care. The Railcats took care of business, but we had to wait and see what the Winnipeg Gold Eyes were going to do, and they flipped on the game on the big screen out in the outfield. And when Winnipeg won, which gave us the North title, everybody raced out of the box and onto the field.
Exactly. The Railcats have a history of doing that, although last year we had a tough year. But as you well know, the Railcats have had a history of winning championships on the final day. That's like the third time that happened.
Third time.
And it's like everybody's sitting up nervous in the press box, wondering, are we going to the playoffs? Are we going to the playoffs? Excuse me. And then when finally, on the final day of the season, when they clinch it, it's like Mardi Gras. I mean, people are running for the press box onto the field.
Yep. Everybody broke camp out of the press box. Everybody broke out.
Everybody broke their 40 time that day.
And remember, there are stairs to get down to the field.
Yeah, or elevator if you're smart. Elevator, yeah.
Yep, elevator too.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I'm not in that category of being smart. I went to the stairs.
Yes.
But yeah, it was like, and think about this. This is happening in Gary, Indiana. Okay, and a lot of people have a negative attitude about Gary.
Yes, they do.
But it's amazing how people came together on those days when the Railcats play, when the Railcats won a championship. I could tell you a time when the Cats won their last championship, which was about, 4 years ago? I could tell you a time when they won the championship on a Saturday night. Okay. And then, unfortunately, it was on the road, so there were no stairs to run down.
Right.
So we had to actually celebrate in our own homes, like normal people. But the night after, the night of, I want to say, there are at least 1,500 people at U.S. Steel Yard waiting for the team bus to come back in. Think about this. It's 10 o'clock at night.
Yes.
The team bus is coming in Gary, Indiana. Who would have ever thought you'd see a mix of people of all races in Gary at 10 o'clock at night?
Indiana. Yep, at 10 o'clock at night. Celebrating a championship.
Celebrating a championship. And it just goes to show how... about 5 years ago, you never, ever would have thought about that.
Nope.
But it just goes to show how fun that whole situation is.
There's another event that I loved covering at the Steel Yard, and it's the High School Baseball Challenge. And I did it for 5 years, and those kids get such a thrill playing at the Steel Yard. Now, usually it's the... I remember one year covering it. I want to say it's 2015. Usually the coaches would come up and announce their kids. I see Tommy walk into the booth, and he just turns and looks at me with a big smile, and I said, "Uh-oh, it's official now. Tommy's in the house, and he's going to announce the next game." Like it's official. It's official now, and I made sure when Tommy started his intros that I put a mic in his booth so we can pick it up. But you and I have always had some great times, my friend, and I really appreciate you so much.
And I appreciate you too, man. I'm going to tell you something. When you said it is official that Tommy Williams showed up.
Oh, I hit the wrong button. Oh, dag nabbit. I'm sorry about that. I hit the wrong button. We'll just go ahead and go to a break, and I'll fix this. I hit the wrong button. I was so excited, and I was wrapping up the interview, and I'm so sorry about that. Pick up the podcast wherever you pick up your podcast. Actually, he's calling back. So let's go back to him. I hit the wrong button.
Man, come on. I'm used to women hanging up on me on the phone, but this is new.
I hit the wrong button. I'm so excited to have you on the show, my friend. This is Tommy Williams, one of my best friends in life and in broadcasting, joining me here on the program. And I will officially end this by saying thank you, God bless you, and I look forward to having you on next time, my friend.
Sounds like a winner, man, and thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Now I can do that. I'll get Cole Johnson back on the phone, and now I will say pick up the podcast wherever you get your podcast, be it Odyssey, iHeartRadio, Spotify, or TuneIn, and you can listen to the show 24 hours a day on snowmaninthemorning.com. I'm pushing all kinds of wrong buttons, man. All kinds of wrong buttons. I'll get it straightened out. I'll get Cole back on the line when you all get back.
Babies every Sunday and smothering them with big hugs and kisses.
I want to get back to football games with my boys.
I want to get back to feeling and touching, connecting with the people around me.
I want to get back to family dinners and my grandma's mac and cheese.
I want to get back to real grocery shopping. Taking my time, walking down every aisle, smelling the tomatoes and melons, having a free sample or two, or 3.
COVID-19 has changed how we live and how we feel. But now, there are vaccines. And they are the first step that let us get back to feeling optimistic about the days ahead of us. It's okay to have questions.
Is it safe?
Should I get it?
Should I wait?
Now, get the facts. Learn more at getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision when vaccines are available to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. As a volunteer, you deliver a hot, nutritious meal and a friendly hello to someone just like your mother, grandfather, or next door neighbor. These seniors are inspiring people with incredible stories to share, and they love to see you. The smiles you get back are priceless. Delivering with Meals on Wheels is easy, and you don't have to drive like me for it to be quick. You can volunteer your lunch break once a week or just once a month. With 1 in 6 seniors facing hunger and many more living in isolation, your lunch break can make a real difference. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
If you came across someone struggling with hunger, how would you recognize them? By their clothes, their age, the way they speak? Would you notice an 8-year-old girl who's not excited for
summer break because she may not be having lunch again until September?
Or a single father of 2 who works 3
part-time jobs and still can't put enough food on the table?
Or maybe a mother who cleans offices at night,
hoping to find meeting leftovers to take home to her hungry family.
Or a war veteran who's having a hard time
landing a job and getting back on his feet.
I am the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger. People you pass by every day but never knew were hungry. I am hunger in America.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America, 200 Food Banks Strong, and the Ad Council.
Why was the basketball court all wet? Because the players kept dribbling on it.
The dad joke. Corny, groan-worthy, but also one of the simplest ways to share a moment with your kids.
What did the buffalo say when he dropped his son off for school? Bye, son.
So take a moment to make your kid laugh, because dad jokes rule. Make your kid laugh today. Go to fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
This is Snowman in the morning.
Oh, yes, it is. Yes, it is. The Taco Tuesday edition thereof. Man, I hate technical difficulties, but we got through it. Thank you, Tommy Williams, very, very dear friend, for joining us on the program today. And before we get to the NHL being on pause yet again, and we will discuss that. Matter of fact, we'll start hour 2 with that. We got that, and we got some comments from Anthony Davis that you'll hear in just a few moments. Man, there are 3 franchises in the NFL that are run horribly, that don't know what the hell they're doing, and expect to compete for a championship every year. The Browns, the Bears, and the Texans. The Texans had their chance, but in 10 minutes, that chance was gone, and they haven't been the same since.
Don't get me started on the Texans.
I'm saving that for Friday. I'm saving that for Football Friday.
Oh man,
I'm saving that. I'm saving that for Football Friday, when we let it'll be Christmas Eve, and that's when we let all our grievances out. I got a couple of let out later today, but Anthony Davis said a couple things about staying the course, and we're still competing for a championship. Anthony, you should have gone home. I will be the first to say that. I'll probably be the last person to say that, but Anthony Davis, you should have gone home. Find the line.
You think he regrets his decision in going out to LA?
Hell yes.
Even with the fact that he won a championship.
Asterisk.
Oh, wow.
Come
but
on,
no.
am I lying here? Professional Sutton says LBJ is the great. Oh, will you stop?
Oh no. Let that flow.
You
Let
want me
this
to say?
blasphemy. Let this blasphemy flow.
All right, I got to find it. Chris Bass gave me a comment as well, and Bass, I love you. Please keep checking in. He's Professional Sutton, who's a very, very dear friend and also 49er fan, says LeBron James is the greatest player to ever walk the earth. Tom Brady is the best quarterback ever, then Montana. Sorry, I had to say it. Close quote. All right.
Oh, the blasphemy really flowed. Yes.
Okay. Professional Sutton, I love you, but you're going to get me in trouble. And he's a dear friend, and he does this to me all the time, and I know that. See, with guys like that, you can take the blasphemy because you know they're messing around with you.
Mm-hmm.
But then, as we'll talk about tomorrow, because the comedy writes itself.
It most certainly does.
There are those fans.
Yes.
There are those fans.
Mm.
Chris Bay says Coach Nagy is not the quarterback whisperer to Justin Fields. He damn sure isn't. If Fields is the future of the Bears franchise, then management needs to get off their dead yasses, fire Nagy, and get a coach that can go in and change the culture in that locker room. Thank you, Chris. I've said it for years.
Wait. So we're saying that Matt Nagy was the quarterback whisperer for Mitchell Trubisky?
There are some Bears fans that actually said that. The real Bears fans knew. Hey, as a native of Chicago, I've heard the blasphemous talk.
Oh, my gosh.
I've heard the blasphemous talk.
So because of his decent second year in the league, that basically qualifies Nagy in being a quarterback whisperer. Okay.
You know, when we start doing our videos in January, you will see the look on my face. Okay? You can pretty much see the look on my face now because we've been partners on air and we've been friends about 6 years. You can see the look on my face now.
Oh my
okay?
gosh. How could people even form those words to come out of their mouths to say that?
Listen, Mitch Trubisky was a decent quarterback. He just had the wrong people in charge of him.
Agreed.
He wasn't coached up. John said, replying to Chris Bass, as a fan that saw the Chiefs offense in 2017, he's not that great outside of a few games. And that game Mahomes started in week 17. Mahomes wasn't that great outside of one drive. I think Reed lucked out. Yeah, basically. And Mahomes has gotten hellified better.
Yeah.
Mahomes has the right coach. And to throw a hint on what I'm going to talk about in hour number 2 here in a couple of moments, so does Jimmy Garoppolo.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let me use a baseball term, and I know you will understand it. Because one of my favorite pitchers is Nolan Ryan.
And my favorite pitcher is Nolan Ryan. Yeah.
He would tickle the outside of the plate with 100-mile-an-hour pitches.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I did yesterday. I tickled the plate. I'm going to come straight down the center of it, straight with no chaser when I talk Jimmy Garoppolo, when I talk WNBA, and when I talk 49ers. When we talk those subjects in the second half of the show.
Mm-hmm.
I was tempted to do a segment that we usually do on Wednesday, but thank God I resisted the temptation and I got myself together. I actually had coffee this morning. I never thought I'd be a coffee drinker. You know when that happened? 4 years ago. When I went through a mental breakdown. I went through a mental breakdown in 2017. I've talked about this on the program. I've told you about. You were there. In spirit, you were there, helping me ride through it.
Mm-hmm. I
was in Michigan City, and they took me to the hospital, and they told me, we're going to get you back in shape. We're going to get you together. Every morning they brought me breakfast and there was coffee on the tray.
Oh, nice.
Now, I am a self-admitted Starbucks fiend, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I better tell that story before I tell this one. I got hooked on iced coffee, and it wasn't even Starbucks. It was Dunkin' Donuts. I was at 95th Street in Chicago. I was at the Dan Ryan, and they had a Dunkin' Donut shop in the station, in the bus/train L station. And I came in and I wanted a donut. I needed a sugar rush. I had to go call again. And they said, "You want some iced coffee?" I said, "Nah, I don't like coffee." And then the guy said, "We could put chocolate in it, huh?" You can do what? I said, "You can do what?" He said, "We can put chocolate in it." Hit me. Haven't given it up since. Which fast forward to 2017, every breakfast they brought me, instead of me requesting something else to drink, they brought coffee. In a sentence, I was a dead duck. And my wife knows I'm a Starbucks fiend. And every time when I lived in Terre Haute, you know this, I would do my show at Starbucks, not far from our apartment. I come in. What do you think my wife teased me about? "You smell like coffee." Yep, and I was drinking it. And she would crack up. She doesn't drink coffee, but I do. I've tried several times to wean myself off of coffee, but then I'd have a game night and it wouldn't work. I'd have a game night, and the next morning I'd be dragging ass. So you know where I went. I would drive from LaPorte to Michigan City. I'd grab something at Starbucks, and that's that. Been a card-carrying member for Starbucks since 2012. The only thing I do now is control it. Except on days where I know I'm going to be in front of my website for hours at a time. But I do have like there's a couple of drinks that I get at Starbucks. Yeah, we're talking Starbucks and it's the afternoon. Go figure. There's a couple of drinks I would get there's a couple of drinks I would get at Starbucks that have vitamin C in it, so it'll help my immune system. And for those of you that can read the shirt, because of pancreatic cancer, I got to open up a can of whoop ass on it, which I am doing. So I will say, y'all wish us luck. February 8th, we're driving back down to Durham for our second appointment. I've also gotten back into taking multivitamins. I've done more exercising now with walking, and I've gotten back into doing some sit-ups. I only do like 5 or 6 at a time because it does wear me out, but I don't care. Whatever I have to do to beat this and get this tumor out of me, that's what I'm doing. Second half of Snowman in the Morning, brought to you in part by Official Car Cleaning and Detailing. My buddy Isaac Moore will get your car and vehicle in shape. Give him a call at 219-561-6645. That's 219-561-6645. The second hour after this.
These are the sounds of a dinner. But not just any dinner. A dinner that almost didn't happen. Because without food, it can't. A dinner now served, thanks to people like you. Due to COVID-19, 17 million more Americans may face hunger. Feeding America is helping our neighbors in need. And if you're able, you can too. Donations to the COVID-19 Relief Fund are being accepted at feedingamerica.org/coronavirus. Your help is needed now more than ever, and every dollar makes a difference. That's feedingamerica.org/coronavirus. On behalf of Feeding America and families nationwide, thank you. Brought to you by the Ad Council and Feeding America, 200 food banks strong.
Excuse me, I know you have a 9 o'clock, so I'll keep this short. I'm the business suit in the back of your closet. You wore me nearly every day before your office went, quote, casual. I used to be the CEO of your closet. Now I'm just that one intern no one ever talks to. I always thought you'd circle back with me, get granular, keep me in the pipeline. But nada. Nothing. Don't you remember the McKittrick presentation? You spilled coffee on me and I still looked amazing during the breakout talkback Q&A. So, I think it's time for me to move on. I've got a great resume and I absolutely crush it in interviews, okay? Let's make this a clean break. Shift the paradigm. The only thing I ask is that you think outside the box here and do this. Take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create new jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff. Create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
The COVID-19 vaccines are starting to become available across the country. And as they become available, you may be asking yourself, should I get it? Will it help me get back to doing the things I love? Like going out to my favorite restaurants, meeting with friends in person, or going on vacation and traveling again? And can I do it all without putting my family and those I love at risk? And is it safe? You've got questions. That's normal, which is why it's so important to get informed. The medical community has made it clear. The vaccines authorized for COVID-19 have met the highest safety standards and can help protect us. Visit getvaccineanswers.org for all the latest information on the COVID-19 vaccines. That's getvaccineanswers.org. Getting back to the moments we miss starts with getting informed. It's up to you. A message brought to you by the Ad Council and the CDC.
What I know about courage, I learned from my adopted.
Hey, Toeman, they're waiting for you.
Oh, yeah!
This is Snowman in the Morning.
Kirk goes out of the shotgun into the face of the Bears fans. Kirk takes the snap, fires, caught, touchdown! A touchdown back right of the end zone for Emir Smith-Marset. The first touchdown of his career, and the Minnesota Vikings have taken a 16-3 lead.
Curry off the screen, bounce pass to Draymond. Right down the lane, he gets a dunk. Draymond Green to the rim. Draymond, 14 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists.
Well, Halliburton had a chance to step in front of him and said he veered out to the corner and take Damian Lee.
Kirk goes out of the shotgun into the face of the Bears fans. Kirk takes the snap, fires, caught, touchdown! A touchdown back right of the end zone for Emir Smith-Marset. The first touchdown of his career, and the Minnesota Vikings have taken a 16-3 lead.
And got good news that I, avoided surgery. So that's good, but, still sucks. I'm going to be out, for some weeks. I'm trying to get this right. Like, we started playing well, start getting a rhythm with each other, and then, all the COVID stuff happened, and then more injuries. So, it's not where we want to be, but we're not in a terrible spot. It just takes everyone, to be able to continue to play the, high level defense that we want to play and be the defensive team that we want to be. And, just waiting on guys to get back healthy, whether it's injuries or, the protocols or whatever. We just got to be able to stay the course. We're still in a good spot for a team who feel like they could have done more, or win more games we should have won. And we're still in a good spot, so hopefully we can stay afloat, with all the stuff going on around the team and, be able to pursue our goal, which is win a championship.
Goal to win a championship, says Anthony Davis. I'm going to hold this one until tomorrow when we do all kinds of basketball. It's the second hour of Snowman in the Morning. Cole Johnson is with me. And I have been told quite forcibly by a few people, or shall I say asked forcibly by a few people, to explain my stance when it comes to the San Francisco 49ers. This year's San Francisco 49ers.
Explain your stance.
That they're going to be the most dangerous team in the NFC. That stance. Because apparently, I don't have any evidence to show them that they are that dangerous.
You don't?
So, I'm going to do this right now. In a segment I haven't worked in a while called Snowman's Take. Now, before I get into Snowman's Take, I'm going to tell y'all Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, Cole and I will be on at 3 or 3:05 p.m. Eastern Time because of a work commitment that I have to handle, and I'm in the midst of training, and I don't want to miss any days of talking to you guys. So we're going to jump to the afternoon for this show, and it's going to be effective on my work days up until the new year when I get my regular schedule. More on that later. All right. Y'all wanted a Snowman's Take? Here you go. The San Francisco 49ers are the most dangerous team in the NFC. Not the Dallas Cowboys, not the Arizona Cardinals, not the Green Bay Packers, and not the defending world champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Why? Reason one. Look at what happened to the Buccaneers against New Orleans. Tampa Bay allowed 9 points against New Orleans. That's the good news. The bad news is they got shut out. 9-0. Now to the Packers. They're built to run the football. They don't. Not consistently. Because they want to keep the narrative of that bad liar being the focus of the offense, which is a mistake in my opinion. Go back 2 years to a game in Santa Clara. Now, did Aaron Rodgers win a game against San Francisco in the final second in which Mason Crosby provided a walk-off field goal? He damn sure did. He damn sure did.
Yes, he did. Look
at the running numbers from that game. That's all I'll say. The only team that was effectively able to run against the 49ers, oddly enough, is the most dangerous team in the AFC. That's the Indianapolis Colts. And I have a man crush on Jonathan Taylor and the way he plays football. More on that later. The defense, though missing Javon Kinlaw with a season-ending injury, is healthy, is hungry, and they're pissed off. Why? A litany of injuries last year kept them from defending their NFC championship. And I still contend that had the 49ers found a way into the playoffs last year, they would have frightened the piss out of every team competing. And then, of course, there's something that travels in January and February, as my partner Cole Johnson said very, very well. A running game. When Jeff Wilson Jr., who is third on the depth chart because of the very talented backs in front of them, gashes Atlanta for 112 yards, that's a problem for any defense. When Deebo Samuel became the first wide receiver, not even Jerry Rice, Deebo Samuel became the first wide receiver to score five rushing touchdowns in 5 consecutive games, or to score a rushing touchdown in 5 consecutive games. That's the genius of Kyle Shanahan, who needed a spark after that clunker, that egg they laid at home against Arizona. And I said on this show, you can ask my partner and anyone who tuned in that day, the 49ers blew an opportunity. They've done it twice in the last 6 weeks, Arizona and Seattle. And yet they still have a very long odd outside chance to win the division. They're pretty much set with the wild card. All they need to do is win at least one of their last 3 games, and they're good. Hell, you can look at this 49er team and say they can conceivably, and Mr. Johnson, please remind me, haven't I said this for the last 5 weeks now, what I'm about to say, that they can conceivably run the table?
Yes, you have.
They can conceivably win their last 3 games because they own space in the Rams' head. The Texans are a farce. And then there's the Tennessee Titans, who are stuck in the mud without Derrick Henry. Just ask the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then there's the fact that the 49ers could get their leading rusher back in a rookie out of Louisiana by the name of Elijah Mitchell. Oh, and they have another rookie who's currently on IR right now, but is scheduled to come off the last week of the season by the name of Trey Sermon out of the Ohio State University. You mix that with Jeff Wilson, the genius of Kyle Shanahan to move Deebo Samuel to the backfield as well as send him over the middle. And oh, by the way, there's a fellow by the name of Brandon Ayuk, who 99% of the people watching thought he was a bust. Because Kyle Shanahan had not found a way to use him. Last year, he got his catches because Deebo was hurt. The light turned on for Shanahan during the Cardinal game that they lost at home to Arizona. That kept the losing streak going. Actually, the light turned on against the Los Angeles Rams. You got to use Ayuk the same way you use Samuel, which means Ayuk is returning kicks and punts. He can take one across the middle. He scored the game-winning touchdown against Cincinnati. You guys remember that, don't you? You fake 49er fans and you so-called analysts. The ones that say, oh, you don't have much of a platform. I have a nationally syndicated show, dudes. And many may not call it as such, but Cole does. I do. John does. My buddy Chris does. Tommy Williams, who lives in Gary, Indiana, called in. He does. Does it seem biased? Yeah. You think I care at this point? Hell no. I have a nationally syndicated audience. And I'm going to prove it later on. Then there's the fellow who's the head coach who lost 2 Super Bowls. One to the Patriots as the OC, one to the Chiefs as the HC. Do you realize people were calling for Kyle Shanahan's ass after the Seattle game where we lost 30-23?
Well, you also have to remember people were calling for Bill Belichick's job, too, in October. They thought the game passed him by.
Mm-hmm. They thought the same thing with Kyle. Yes. They thought the same thing with Kyle Shanahan.
Yes. Yes.
The 49ers have won 5 out of 6. They're 2 games over 500. They could conceivably run the table and wind up 5 games over 500, which is what my original prediction was. And the most important thing, they're getting healthy. Why is that so important? You need a full squad to compete in January and February.
Oh, yeah. You most certainly do.
You need a full squad to compete in January and February. I had someone ask me, aren't you worried about the Arizona Cardinals? No, because they're crashing back to earth as we speak. They could conceivably lose out. And not to mention the Cardinals get to face one of the other team that I hold dear to me, which is the Indianapolis Colts, which means they get to have problems with Jonathan Taylor, which means Jonathan Taylor may hang 200 on him. Matter of fact, I'm hoping he hangs 200 on him. And that's the early game on Christmas Day. So how's that for a Christmas present? And considering this Thursday is a big, big game for the 49ers, this is their game of the year. This is their playoff clincher. Now, there are many scenarios It won't be an official playoff clincher, but it will be to me. Because they're going to go down to Tennessee and hang 200 rushing yards on them. And when you have a healthy defensive line like the 49ers, and you got Ryan Tannehill as your quarterback, oh, Lord,
Ryan Tannehill. The turnover machine himself.
I'm looking for D'Amico Ryans, the 49ers defensive coordinator, to tell that front four 2 words. Sick 'em. I'm looking for D'Amico Ryans to tell that entire 49er defense. Sick 'em. Do I expect them to blitz? No, they don't have to. And when you have the comeback player of the year in Nick Bosa, not Dak Prescott, Nick Bosa will be the runaway comeback player of the year. And were it not for a fellow named TJ Watt, he'd also be the defensive player of the year. And I love TJ Watt. All right? I love TJ Watt. Stud.
Yeah, yes. And a half.
But Nick Bosa's a stud, too.
Yes, he is.
You know who I didn't mention in all of this? You know the biggest problem that the Titans are going to have on Thursday night in Nashville? Who did I not mention? Mentioned Garoppolo. Mentioned Ayuk. Mentioned Bosa.
Yes.
Mentioned D. Ford. Mentioned Samuel.
Yes.
Mitchell. Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
I know
85.
who I didn't mention.
Number 85.
George the Animal. George Kittle. The man who could take on 3 defenders and still gain 20 yards.
With one of them yanking his face mask.
Stone Cold Kittle.
That's Stone Cold Kittle.
Stone Cold Kittle. That's what the team calls him, and he plays like it. As I said, the fellow that can take on 3 defenders with someone grabbing his face mask and still gain 20 yards. Get up, straighten the face mask. They tack on 15, they walk off. George Kittle, the most complete tight end in the game. George Kittle, the best tight end in the game. George Kittle, the animal who loves to block as well as catch. Let me borrow Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Quote, my man George Kittle will block. He'll catch a pass. He'll lay the smack down on your candy ass. And that was from the Super Bowl introduction. The people's tight end he's becoming known as. John Mysack posed a question to me via text message. Who would be the NBA's version of George Kittle? I'll answer that tomorrow. But in the NFL, there's only one George Kittle. And he plays by the Bay, and he's going to finish his career by the Bay. So for all you non-believers that thought the 49ers were finished, done, kaputski after starting 3-5,
they were.
Will you look at them now at 8-6, putting a nice big red bow on a wild card? And though they may be on the outside looking in at the NFC West Championship, they're looking at it. And even if they don't win the NFC West, they're the most dangerous team in the NFC. Many pundits, especially on Good Morning Football, which is a guilty pleasure of mine, have said, quote, I don't want to face the 49ers right now. I don't want to face the 49ers in the playoffs. Close quote. That's Snowman's take. What's yours? Now, did I have any falsehoods anywhere in that?
No, there wasn't one. There was not a one.
So I'll
Can't
ask
think of one.
you, why the doubt from so many people? Half of the people you and I know because they listen to this program.
Well, the doubt comes into play because they do not trust in the quarterback who runs the team. And the reason why they don't is because he doesn't put up those fantasy football stats that almost all of today's NFL fan craves to have in an NFL quarterback.
Oh, you mean like Kirk Cousins?
Yes, the ultimate fantasy football quarterback, Kirk Cousins. Yes.
If there's a chink in the armor for San Francisco, it's their secondary, and I get that.
100.
They're gonna rebuild that secondary.
100. That is where you have to attack them.
Mm-hmm.
Good news for them, though, is you have that the opposing offensive line has to hold off the pass rush in order to exploit them.
Yep.
And that's a tall task for most offensive lines.
Well, you mentioned number 10, 29-year-old Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yes, sir.
He's not thrown an interception in 2 games.
The one thing I love about him is that he seems to, whenever he comes across a valley, he seems to do well to correct it.
Yep.
And in that period where they were basically battered and injured and depleted, he was turning the ball over a little too much for my liking.
Yeah.
And obviously he saw that. He went to the film room along with the quarterback coaches and probably Kyle too. They pointed out what he needed to do. He's corrected it, and he has thrown less and less interceptions. And of course, like you said, last 2 games he's turned the ball over none.
What are his QBRs the last 2 games? 103.3 and 123.7.
And I don't give a crap what type of talent your quarterback has. One of the things you want your quarterback to do is not turn the ball over.
Yep.
Don't give up fumbles if you're sacked or if you run the ball, and do not throw ill-advised passes that lead to picks.
Truth.
Yeah.
Absolute truth.
And what it makes me laugh because people want to have these pinball type games from quarterbacks, like
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, or like Tom Brady in the last Super Bowl he lost, where he threw for over 500 yards and people raved about him throwing for over 500 yards in the Super Bowl. Well, look at Brady.
And what happened in that game?
Yeah, he threw for 500 yards in the Super Bowl. I was like, okay, well, what happened after 2-minute warning?
He fumbled.
The game. I saw it. Yeah, I saw it. No, and I don't care how
he golfed up the football. That's
yes, I don't care.
As that gets.
Right. I don't care how pedigreed a quarterback is. You do not turn the ball over. You try not to turn the ball over, period.
In the final especially in the final 2 minutes.
You definitely do not turn the ball over in the last 2 minutes of a football game.
You don't.
And he did. So, yeah. 500 yards, woohoo! Did he win the game? No. And that's my issue. I'd rather the first Super Bowl that Brady won, where he didn't even throw for 150 yards, but he won the game, than 500 yards and lose it.
Yeah.
And people overlook if a quarterback doesn't throw for 250 yards. They just overlook it.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the games this year, Garoppolo has thrown for less than 250 yards.
Yep.
But you know what? I say about that?
Mm-hmm.
Good. You know why? Because that means the running game is working just fine. That's what it means.
This is the third time this year that Garoppolo's gone at least 2 games without a pick. The first 2 of the year at Detroit and at Philadelphia. Monday night game versus the Rams and at Jacksonville. And now at Cincinnati, the overtime winner, and Atlanta.
That drive in overtime. That was the best
7
moment of the year for him.
For 7.
Yeah.
On that drive.
That was the best moment of the year for him thus far.
Hey,
the best game he played was the home game against the Rams. But the
Yep.
best moment of the year for him, that overtime drive in Cincinnati, could not have operated that offense any better.
Since we're talking about Garoppolo, let me get these. Visit the Snowman in the Morning store and support the hashtag SnowStrong as yours truly continues this battle with pancreatic cancer. snowmaninthemorning.com/store is where you need to go. Usually we're on at 11 a.m. Monday through Friday, but for the next couple of weeks, I got some work commitments to handle. So Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, I'm anticipating for the next 2 weeks, we'll be on at 3 or 3:05 Eastern time. Just depends where I can get set up, and I will be on location. Now then, there is something I need to do. And since we are discussing said person, let me jump right in to this. Email Jimmy Garoppolo haters.
Oh, Lord.
CC Jimmy Garoppolo doubters. Subject of email: he's that good. Body of email: it's rare when a quarterback throws for 3,172 yards, 18 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions, and yet they're still calling for his job.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the plight of 49ers quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo. And if you think the 49ers are going to trade him after the season, you're nuts. As I said, and I've said it all year, and my partner can verify it, he has balled out all year. He has a stretch right now where he hasn't thrown a pick. They're going to march his ass right into the office. They're going to extend him and restructure his contract so they can keep some more players. You need to let Jimmy go in that salary. Nah, bro. Jimmy Garoppolo is a winner. Who says you're going to get the same out of Trey Lance right now? Who said the same that you were going to get the same out of Aaron Rodgers under Brett Favre? Aaron Rodgers had to wait 4 years. Steve Young had to wait at least 5. Even though he got in some spot starts and some spot duty and some spot playing time. Steve Young had to wait 5 full seasons before he became the starting quarterback for the 49ers. Garoppolo's going through what Montana went through in his later years. A lot of injuries, a lot of hits. A back injury kept Montana out for 2 years. An ACL and a high ankle sprain kept Garoppolo out for almost 2 full seasons. Look at him now. He's only missed 1 game this year. 1. And he's taken the bulk of the snaps. He has taken the, I'm going to use a bad word, majority of the snaps. Nah. Oh, fools. Jimmy Garoppolo is the man. Period. Jimmy Garoppolo is the quarterback of the 49ers. Period. Trey Lance could be slicing and dicing the defense in practice.
It probably is.
Jimmy Garoppolo is the unquestioned leader of this 49er offense.
Bloop.
And with the fact that he's thrown 3 touchdowns and no interceptions in the last 2 games, and thrown for plus 500 yards and has a quarterback rating on average of 110 in the last 2 games. Will you quit doubting him, please? He took the 49ers to the Super Bowl 2 years ago. You know what his quarterback rating was then? 102. Know what his quarterback rating is now? 100.7. With a chance to eclipse that 102. Doesn't mean he's going to go after it, because he's equipped with something that a lot of these supposed playoff teams don't have: a running game. Garoppolo, beg your pardon, Garoppolo realized, hey, I'm not getting it done, so I'm going to turn the hand to my running backs. Mitchell, Samuel, Ayuk on occasion, Kittle, Sermon. 5 very capable runners. And when I say very capable, the genius of Kyle Shanahan to put Deebo Samuel in the backfield and keep him involved in the offense. He's done the same for Ayuk. He's done the same for his running backs. You know damn well he's done the same for George the Animal Kittle. But it all starts with number 10. And since you all want to doubt him, since you all say he doesn't have the stats, 18 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. He threw 13 interceptions in the year he took him to the Super Bowl. 7-5 before he got injured last year. The 49ers have played 14 games, and Garoppolo has thrown only 8 interceptions. Let me focus on the number 8 for a moment. Now, how many passes he threw against Green Bay in the NFC Championship game? That's right, 8. Know what the final score of that game was? 37-20 in favor of San Francisco. Know what the best part is? He's getting better. He's learning his reads. He's going through his progressions and using the shotgun formation to his advantage to buy him some time. Absolute genius. Montana and Young both did it from under center. Montana learned to do it from under center. Garoppolo can too. But with the way the 49ers run that offense, run being the operative word, shotgun buys him some time. And oh, by the way, you know what Garoppolo has that playoff teams have? Not just a running game, but an offensive line. An offensive line that is getting better, that is getting healthier, that is getting stronger. And it's anchored by the best offensive lineman in the NFL in Trent Williams. See, no one wants to talk about that. No one wants to talk about the fact that Garoppolo has one of the best offensive lines in the NFL, save the Indianapolis Colts. No one wants to talk about Garoppolo has one of the best running games in the NFL, no matter who the running back is. And remember, they lost Raheem Mostert in the first game of the year after 2 carries with a microfracture. Know what the 49ers did? They stayed true to their philosophy. They stayed true to who they have. They took a next man up mentality. And the best part out of all of it, they stayed true to Jimmy Garoppolo. So y'all can hate all you want. And you probably are. And I know I'm jumping ahead when I say this, but I will say very confidently, say in Los Angeles or Phoenix or Las Vegas or New Orleans. but he will see 2 of those sites in February. Sincerely, Brian Snow, host, Snowman in the Morning, in proud association with Call Sports with a Z.
If only these individuals can understand that you're supposed to judge a quarterback by how he gets the job done, not the minutia of what he does. And I think that's the issue.
Mm-hmm.
If Garoppolo was basically putting up Patrick Mahomes circa 2018 stats, where basically he would throw for 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns.
He'd get the shine.
Yes.
He'd get the shine.
Yes, he would get the shine. But considering this offense is not geared for a quarterback to do that, he gets maligned because, well, he's a game manager.
Can I interrupt that for a moment?
Yes, please.
Game manager, my ass.
Yeah, he's a game manager. He doesn't have a strong enough arm. The team
yes, he does.
Right. The team is built to mask the shortcomings of the quarterback.
Wrong.
And the thing is, you don't need to have your quarterback to be Superman in order for your team to be the best in the world. Who says that who says you have to throw for 5,000 yards in a season? I know of many teams that did that and didn't sniff the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Matthew Stafford and the Detroit Lions.
Mm-hmm. So
Drew Brees threw for multiple 5,000-yard seasons. Only saw a playoff once.
Exactly. So that's not the barometer. The QBR and the quarterback and the touchdown to touchdown rate, touchdown interception ratio, which I could see that could be a stat you weigh the validity of a quarterback, but it doesn't necessarily have to be like 6-1. It doesn't, quarterback doesn't have to do like what Dan Marino did, which he threw for 48 touchdowns in 1984. He does not have to do that. As long as he can get the team to the W at the end of the game, he could do like what Mac Jones did against the Bills last Monday night and throw three passes. I don't give a crap. I do not give a crap. I look at did Mac Jones' team have more points than his opponent? The answer is yes. He had a really good game, and that's exactly what it's about. But we're stuck with fantasy football stats, and we cheer on the Kirk Cousins of the world, and just forget that this year his team is 7 up and 7 down. And part of the reason why they're 7 up and 7 down, yes, is because the defense sometimes takes breaks and takes siestas, but it also is that Kirk Cousins doesn't come up big in big moments many of those times. One of those games happens to be against your 49ers, sir.
Yep. Matter of fact, 2 of them, one in the playoffs. One in the playoffs, and then this year, where the 49ers tied the game at the half, and then the Vikings surrendered 2 touchdowns in 30 seconds.
So these idiots can just simply take because he is not who I pick in fantasy football because he doesn't put up the stats mentality and stick it, because it doesn't matter. Nope. What does matter is will he put his team in a position in January to go for the Larry Bryant Trophy? Go for the Vince Lombardi Trophy.
Mm-hmm. And the 49ers are speeding toward January.
I love how they look, man. And I mean,
Yep.
on both sides of the ball, I love how they look.
And as I said, they're getting healthy. They're getting stronger.
And to me, their best performance of the year thus far was against the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
They came pretty close Sunday.
Yeah, they did.
They came pretty close to topping that Sunday. They really made the Falcons look like they did not belong on the field. That is what a team like the 49ers, if they just simply stick to their identity, can do to any team, no matter the talent level.
You know the best part of this? Kyle Shanahan told his team, we're not going to celebrate.
Beautiful.
Because it's a quick turnaround, and they have to go to Nashville.
Yep, they'll be here in 2 days. And I actually think this is the right time to catch them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know the Titans are going to be angry because they basically gave the Steelers a gift Sunday.
They sure did.
I don't care how you look at it. They gifted.
They were in control of that game.
Yes, they were in control of that game. They gifted the Steelers that win because the Steelers offense did nothing the first half, did next to nothing in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
But credit the Steelers defense. They turned the Titans over on back-to-back possessions, which all of them led to field goals because all those turnovers were deep within Titans territory. So you have a team that I know is going to be frothing at the mouth and angry. They're coming back home. They're licking their wounds. They had the chance to be the number. If they won that game, they would have been the number one seed in the AFC, but they blew it. Now they're number 3. And so I know they have that type of taste in their mouth, and they want to prove that they're better than what their record is because they're 95 at the moment. They want to prove they're better than their record is. But the way that offense has played the last 3 weeks is alarming because they are turning the ball over far too many times. We were talking about Garoppolo not turning the ball over.
Yep.
Tannehill's been the opposite, and not just in Sunday's game. I mean, the loss they took at home to Houston. I mean,
and that was a strange L. Okay.
Yeah. They turned the ball over right and left there. So this has been an issue for the Titans since Henry's left.
Pittsburgh's defense.
And Pittsburgh's defense is good, but here's the thing: Pittsburgh's defense is good because I'm not gonna crap on them. They're good, but the Titans had the ability to trump that because the one thing the Steelers have problems doing is stopping the run up the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they had some success, but they just kept turning the ball over. So you're right. If they had problems with the Steelers defense, what makes you think it's going to be any easier against a defense to me that's a little better in the 49ers? And the one thing that the Titans do well, the 49ers can stop.
Mm-hmm.
Which means the game has to rest on Ryan Tannehill's head and arm and legs.
Again.
Mm-hmm.
If Pittsburgh has a good defense, yes, they do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But with that being the case, if Pittsburgh's defense struggled, if the Titans
struggled.
The Titans offense struggled with Pittsburgh's defense, what do you think they're going to do against a top-tier defense like the 49ers?
Their hope, and this is what the Titans like to do, but they do it better when Henry actually is in the backfield. They are a team that, the 49ers aren't bullies, but they're not finessed either. They're tough and they're rugged.
Yep.
And so it's a little different. They want to be physical with you, but they could beat you in other ways. They proved that in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Where they sort of was in neutral in the second half of that game, and then in overtime they threw to victory.
Yes. See,
the 49ers can beat you different ways. The Titans, they only can beat you one way, and that is they want to draw you to a fight. I'm not talking about they're nasty and they're dirty, but they want to draw into a physical fight because they believe they can beat you physically, no matter what the team is.
Right.
And that's the only way they can beat a team, is to prove that they are basically more man than you are. And if they could do that, then they will feel they will achieve their end. But if you get to the point where you can, like the Steelers proved Sunday, punch them back in the mouth, and like you said earlier, with Bernie Mac, and pause once they get hit.
Yep.
The 49ers can do that. They can punch the bully back in the mouth.
They can beat you till you pause.
Yes, they can beat you till you pause. They can have the Titans pause, and then that's when the 49ers will get all of them. And even though this game's in Nashville, from what I understand, the 49ers actually are a better team on the road than at home this year. So this actually is a good test for them, I believe.
And their fans
and I think they'll be up for the challenge. And they're of course their fans travel. Yeah. And there are some 49ers fans here in Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean,
so they're waiting for that. They're waiting for that one.
Yeah, it's all about the Titans drawing you out to a fight.
Mm-hmm.
And the question a team has to ask when they're playing the Titans is, are you ready to get into that ring and go 12 rounds blow for blow with them? And if you're not, you're going to get beaten to submission. If you are, it's going to be a good game, and you have a good chance of beating them because they don't have the horses right now to withstand a toe-to-toe fight. The 49ers, on the other hand, they do.
It's going to be a fun game in Nashville.
Yeah.
It's going to be a fun game in Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think the Titans have the horses to stop them. And Elijah Mitchell's due to come back.
Yeah.
Now, if Wilson puts up 100 yards against Atlanta, and he's their third string, he's third on the depth chart, but pressed in the duty due to injury. Oh, man. Elijah Mitchell, when he comes back behind that line.
Yeah.
Let's close with this. A little preview for tomorrow. And for those of you that watched on YouTube, thank you. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video. Anthony Davis. And we're going to touch this in full tomorrow. In fact, I think we're going to lead off with this and dive in. With the comments I played during the opening of Hour 2, Anthony Davis believes his team can compete for a championship. Unfortunately, with him being their best player and being out for at least a month, not going to happen.
And now with the mentality they have, this team wholeheartedly believes, as presently constituted, and I'm not even talking about what Davis said, just the mentality that you and I have seen.
Mm-hmm.
They believe they can hang with any team in the NBA and win it and win a 7-game series with them. They really believe that. And they don't have the wind, they don't have the athleticism, and they most
don't have
assuredly
the legs.
And they most assuredly do not have, like I said, they don't have the length now anymore. Although you can say, well, Dwight Howard is length, and DeAndre Jordan is length. But
do you know how old they are?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, they're pushing senior citizen age. Definitely, they're senior citizens age in the NBA. But they need defense, and the Lakers do not play it. They have the old man mentality of, well, we want to do it when we feel like it. Oh, and congratulations to Russell Westbrook for breaking a record. Yes, he the game Sunday, he played his 400th consecutive game where he performed at least one turnover in it. So I'm just happy about that. It's a wonderful achievement. Brody, you an awesome point guard, baby. 400 straight games with at least one turnover.
With at least one turnover.
Yes, you're doing good, man. You're doing good.
And, of course, we know he's had multiple turnovers in many of those games.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Some of them double digits, yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Quadruple double machine. And that 4 doubles a turnover.
Oh, God.
Quadruple double machine, okay?
That joke never ceases to get old.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
But I feel for Davis. I do.
I do too. And I'll say it again as we preview tomorrow. Anthony Davis, you should have gone home.
Oh, and for those who don't know what home is, home for him is Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Now imagine if he was on the current Bulls team.
He'd be healthy.
And I think he'd be happier. And I say happier because remember yesterday we talked about how this team possesses no ego. They would roll the red carpet every single minute.
Mm-hmm. They would
for Davis to be the number one guy on the team.
They would do what the Lakers are supposed to do and refuse to do.
Yeah, they give lip service that they are, but
they tell Davis, "Oh, this is your team," and they sold him a bill of goods and got him to extend his contract. They sold him a bill of goods,
and then you hear people like Kendrick Perkins say that
not him. Not him.
Yes.
No.
Yes, Mr. Trippin himself, who says that it is Anthony Davis's fault that he is a top 5 talent but not a top 5 player, and he doesn't demand the ball enough.
That's a lie.
I'm thinking one.
That's a flat out lie.
I don't believe that's the case, and because you saw a fight he had with Dwight Howard, I think part of it is that.
Mm-hmm.
And 2, he doesn't have to demand it. Are any of those guys 7 feet tall? I don't think so.
It's the Lakers' fault that Anthony Davis is their best player, and he's languishing.
Best player in his prime. He is a champion now, so there isn't an excuse. You can't relegate him, even though I know he averages 24 and 10. But you cannot relegate him to
how quiet is that 24 and 10?
It's one of the quietest 24 and 10s that you've ever heard.
How quiet is that 24 and 10?
But you cannot relegate this guy. Yeah. But you cannot relegate this guy who was your leading scorer on the team to Zaza Pachulia status.
Because you don't have the horses to just drive the ball through him and have him. You're supposed to run the offense through Anthony Davis, Lakers, and you're not doing it.
Yeah, and that's what frustrates me about the Lakers.
Doing it.
Man. Mm-hmm. It's just simple basketball, and you think these guys supposedly forgot more basketball than we know. And we're seeing this, and they're not executing it. I don't understand that. I don't understand that.
You know what? Anthony Davis should have either gone home or gone to the left coast or Northern California. Forget Southern California. Should have gone to Northern California. And I don't mean the Sacramento Kings either.
Oh, you want to get rid of all the smart butts, huh? Okay.
I want
all the smart Alex.
Yeah. I want all the smart asses to bring it. What's the popular lexicon phrase? I want all the smoke.
Oh, you want all the smoke? Okay.
I want all the smoke, and I want all the smoke every day because we do this show 5 days a week for 120 minutes. Bring it on.
I don't mind all the smoke either.
Bring it on. Because it tells us we're doing something right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It tells us we're doing something absolutely right. And you know something? Good.
Yeah. And you know that 80 injury, they say at least a month.
Can I speak on that?
An MCL sprain, and they think at least a month? Yes, please go ahead, man. Because I know you're going to say exactly what I'm thinking.
Anthony Davis is finished for the year.
An MCL sprain. That's a scary place to have a sprain, man.
And Anthony Davis said it best. He heard a pop.
Yeah.
Anthony Davis is finished for the year. Let me say that again, and we will dive into this tomorrow. As you know, we're running short on time here, but I will leave y'all with this statement, and it's a big fat tease for tomorrow. As far as the 2021-22 season is concerned, Anthony Davis is finished, and so are the Lakers.
Oh, and Lakers Nation, hashtag no 70 wins.
Can I go one step further with the hashtag?
Please, sir.
Hashtag no playoffs for you.
Ouch. Well, I mean, they keep going. You might be right.
I want all the smoke because I know the basketball I watch. I know the basketball I see. You're seeing beautiful basketball being played in Phoenix, Arizona, and San Francisco, California. You're seeing the most horrible brand of old man AAU kind of basketball being played in Los Angeles, and that's both Los Angeles teams, the Lakers and the Clippers.
Old man AAU basketball.
It's old man AAU basketball. You know it to be true as well as I. It's old man AAU basketball. And I will play those comments again tomorrow. We'll definitely lead off with that. And you know it'll be tomorrow afternoon rather. And you know what happens during the show. At some point during the show, it's Wednesday, and we will have the Bronze Sexual Confessions. And there may be more than one. Till tomorrow afternoon, have a great day. God bless. Remember to make your next move your best move. And always remember, if your dreams don't scare you, then they are not big enough. Dream big, do bigger. We are, and we hope y'all are too. Tomorrow I will be on location, and we will kick off tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern time. The title ain't going to change, but the time is, because a certain person kept saying, quit begging off of people and get a job. Well, guess what? I got